Hey everybody, this is Ben Hansen with GameInformer, and I'm here with...
Greg Reisdorf, lead multiplayer designer on Call of Duty World War II.
There we go. What are we looking at here, Greg?
So this is Gibraltar. This is one of our maps that we're bringing to the beta. We're going to take a little walkthrough.
So you want to talk about the process of bringing this map to life? And were you there for step one?
Yeah, for step one, we start out with all of our map designers getting in a room and just batting around ideas and trying to figure out like what we can really bring to it and what we could bring to a World War II game that's going to get fans excited. And a lot of them, like this was, midway through the process, so we had a lot of these designs that we already were playing. And one of the things that we found is we wanted to get more verticality in the matches. And so that's where we started looking at Gibraltar, trying to find a space that is relevant to World War II and had these cool vistas and just the bridges and the areas where you can jump to and dive off of, and all these really cool experiences for you as a player to just go through and have a fun time playing.
Yeah, it's interesting to have an emphasis on verticality, but then also, in theory, slowing down movement for multiplayer overall compared to Advanced Warfare?
Yeah, it is an interesting theory in that aspect. Like, it was never an intent to slow down movement as far as like taking it and just bringing the player back into something that is just not fun at some level if it's too slow. So a lot of it is just that modern play style that we can have in the game without all the boost and everything else. This would have been an interesting boost map way back when, but now, like, without that and being able to have to utilize the stairs and the ladders, and ladders are always something that we're trying to not have in the maps because they do take it to that level where it is that too slow.
Yeah.
When you just die on a ladder, nobody wants to die on a ladder. So yeah, it's just it's adding verticality to this space to really be able to have a little more variance in where you're looking and making sure that your targets are not always horizontal across the plane.
Yeah.
So you're able to now start looking for threats up above, and this is the center of the map right now that we're at, where it's like we do have some smaller ladders here that you can climb up and down, but you can also mantle to them and get up and start using them.
And just to be clear, you turned off UI and players, so that's why there are no hands there, right?
So yeah, no hands here. So it does look a little odd when I start jumping between all these things. But when you're on top of all this stuff and everything else, you're still in a player's line of sight. You're still in their view frame, which really makes it manageable for that combat. But it gives you that little bit of extra like excitement and surprise when you come around that corner, knowing that you have to check out that space.
Are there any spots specifically you want to show off that you think the team's really proud of designing here?
Oh yeah, I mean this whole area, the center section, is pretty fun, especially when you're playing hardpoint down here. You're going to get your hardpoints here, your B flags here. So this is like the middle of the map, and it's always about managing these threats coming from this doorway over there, and then you have a staircase right behind that wall where players can get up and start using the top section, and it just becomes this interesting game of like you get these really intense firefights going across this bridge area. And all of your threats are coming from that brick wall and around it. You can't exactly choke point everything here because they do have options to move around. But at the same time, you can move here. You can have a great battle and have a lot of fun doing it. There's a lot of options for you to like just jump over things, get out of the way, and really have those fun engagements that players like that are just fun to do and really utilize your skills in those spaces around movement and gun skill.
Yeah. So this is the center of the map, but does it branch out and kind of spiral out from here? Yeah,
so the center of the map will take you out to the spawn areas on each side. So this is one of the main spawn areas down here. This is going to be, where you spawn pretty much every time. And a lot of those spaces, so you have your two main options of entering that center space, which is you can go through the main doorways. You can have access to your machine gun here to really just take advantage of this upper area, and you can start to just fire off rounds through the wall there. Utilize bullet penetration to get some kills there if they're coming. If you're actually able to manage your mini map and know the spawns and know when guys are coming through there. And then also out of here, you have your other route to the center, which is going to be your stairs up, and that's going to allow you to cover this bridge in the center. You're always aware of these choke points and threat areas when you're coming up. The one to watch out for when you're playing is you're always going to want to be careful of the guys coming around this way who are able to use this staircase to really get a vantage point on you when they're coming up. they're able to see that, and they're able to manage fewer threats on this side as they come around. So they'll be able to be pretty safe here, and then they can play with this corner and really manage this space and have a much better kind of feel for it and understanding of where you're going to be when they're coming around. So there's lots of counter, there's a counterpoint, and then there's another counterpoint. There's a counter to the counter,
Natural.
which we always rock paper scissors, which we always try and get in our maps.
And compared to the other maps I've seen, just to get nerdy and artistic, it's one of the prettier maps. There's not that much rubble, not that much stuff's on fire here. There's flowers, for Christ's sake.
There are flowers. We sent some guys out to Gibraltar to actually, like, we had our art director out there checking it out, going through. You'll see some interesting things that they picked up along the way, like the Moor's Castle used to be up on the hill here. It turns out that's not where it actually is, so we moved it down to the other half of the map, where it is in the shipping map. And so there's lots of cool things that we got out of just visiting the space that's hard to get from just reference material and all that, because you see a cool castle, you're like, oh, that's awesome. So here's the castle down here.
Okay.
And so you see the reference images, and you're like, oh, there's a castle, cool. Well, where do we put it? And you just don't understand those relationships and where these things are. And then just knowing like that these anti-aircraft guns are from the Princess Anne, which was a ship that was actually down in port, and I'm not sure if I'm actually on the port side or not. But it was they sank it and took the cannons off of it, and then brought them up the hill and mounted them. And you see there's 4 of them that are throughout the map, and they're 5 1/4 inch guns that are used for anti-air to just guard the Strait of Gibraltar here, which is really cool just to like think about all of this history that's happening in these maps.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's one other cool little, just interesting thing that probably no one will ever really pick up.
Well, they will now.
Well, yeah, they will now. But there's some fire buckets up here that are just all over Gibraltar. And it's just one of the things that our art director came back and was like, you have to add these in. And so we made sure they were in here. And so it's just like, if you're just running by, you're like, oh, that's interesting. That's kind of weird. But it's there. They're actually there on Gibraltar, and we just wanted to get them in the game. And
so the most vertically based map, is there any other comparison you can make for this map versus the rest of the maps in the game?
I think on average it's the most vertical map in the game. There's some other maps that we do have that do have verticality in them. There's but also coming off of AW, I think there's some hesitation around making too much verticality in the maps, because we do know what that leads to. Like, there's lots of things that we want to make sure we maintain this view space and this where you are always able to see your targets. Nobody's a screen up or 2 screens up.
Right.
So being able to maintain that is a big thing for us in World War II.
Yeah, definitely. So what about size? Is it a medium-sized map compared to the rest?
It's a medium-sized map. So comparatively, like, this is going to be one of the ones that you can use everything on it. Your SMGs are valuable. Your sniper rifles are valuable. Like, even here, you can start to see these, threat locations where we have the entrance to one of the tunnels here, which actually Gibraltar is just filled with tunnels. Throughout the ages, they've just built tons and tons of tunnels throughout it. We do have a couple in ours. And then over here, you can see this other kind of sniping lane that exists between these 2 main threat areas, and this allows you to cover. There's a hard point that sits in this guy that you can now cover it, you can watch it, you can maintain it, and really be able to utilize your sniper rifles in this area. And then on the other lane, the far lane on the cliff side, the other cliff side, is another place to really use your sniper rifles and to be able to just hold down that area. It's great for LMGs as well. Like, you can, with the divisions, with the armored division, you can now mount your LMGs, so you can mount them here on these brick walls and stone walls, and they'll keep you mostly intact from bullet penetration. But I think this is one of our maps that we really focused on the bullet penetration, because we do have a lot of these thinner walls that are kind of blocking areas that allow you to get around, but at the same time we want you to be able to fire in those and lock down those points.
Right. So keep on moving is your advice overall for this map.
So keep on moving. There are a few areas, like if you can push to this area and just kind of hold this and dance around this opening here for a little while, you'll get a few kills as they're coming out of their spawn. it's a fun area to be in, but there's so many openings coming around. As soon as they use one of the other paths out of here, if they go through the tunnel side, or if they take one of the bridges, you're not going to be there very long. So this is one of the tunnel sides here that allows you to go from the upper spawn down to one of the Princess Anne weapons.
What makes it a great map for the beta? Do you think it's a map that the team is really proud of, or do you think it's just a good average map that shows off what this game's all about?
I think all of our maps are special in their own way.
You have to choose one though, Greg.
But I like this map quite a bit, and it is one of my favorite maps. It is that verticality that brings it. It is the center map especially that is one of the most interesting parts about it that really sets it apart from the other maps. Being able to just, jump, well, I'm not going to make it apparently, but being able to maneuver through this area, it's just, most likely there's going to be somebody down there in this area. It's going to be hard to make these jumps, but when you can, and when you can make it over and you can plant yourself down here to guard the hard point, and coming through and just having everybody funnel through that choke point is just a lot of fun. And then you're going to get nailed by somebody up here who's running across the bridge, seeing you just easily on top of this by the flag.
Right on.
There's just the verticality and the quick movement between spaces, but also the interesting combat that you're getting in those spaces is what really sets it apart.
Yeah. Anything else you want the community to know about this map in particular?
It's a great map. I'm excited for everybody to experience it in the beta, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, cool, Greg. Thanks for showing it off, man.
Yeah, thank you.